Welcome to General Anatomy and Physiology online at Western Technical College with Isaiah Foster. I am your instructor for this semester, and today we're going to be reviewing the syllabus and a review of the Blackboard site. So if you want to get your syllabus up, hopefully you navigate it over to that tab on Blackboard, and you can pull that up and review this. There will be a small quiz associated with this video. I'll show you where you can access that in just a moment. So with the syllabus here, we'll start with just some logistical information. My name is Isaiah Foster. My email address is there. My office location is K315R, which is on the third floor of the CUM building. I do have some office hours, but they vary from term to term, so if you ever want to meet face-to-face, we can certainly arrange that, or also by email, or also by a phone conversation. Our start date is Monday, January 7th and runs till Friday, April 19th. This is 100% fully online course for both the lab and the lecture. We will not be meeting face-to-face at all. If we go down here, you can see the course description, which you can read on your own. It is a 4-credit course with some prerequisites, which if you didn't meet these, you wouldn't be listening to this video right now. So it looks like you would all meet those prerequisites. Our textbooks here, we use the Human Anatomy and Physiology with Mastering A&P Access Card, the 11th edition. You do need the access card in order to access the homework assignments that you will have throughout the semester here. And I'll talk to you a little bit more about that. So if you're buying a used book, it's not going to come with the access card. You actually have to buy a new book that comes with the access card. If you do have a used book, you would need to purchase the access card separate from that, and we do not sell those in the bookstore as a standalone item, just so you're aware of that. We do have some course competencies, which these are the things that I'll be teaching you in a broad sense. There's obviously more detailed objectives within these competencies, and I'll show you where you can access those in a little bit. Our grading scale, you do need to achieve at least a 70% or better in this course in order for it to count towards your program. So just be aware of that as you're moving throughout the semester to keep those grades up. We do have this is an online format, learning format, so there's some things that you should be aware of with this and some guidelines. So everything is 100% online. It is also your responsibility to have basic internet, typing, emailing, PowerPoint, Word, or Blackboard understanding. There are no excuses for bad computers, bad internet connections. You know, if you're signing up for an online course, we expect you to have a computer. We expect you to have good access to internet. There will be no ifs, ands, or buts about that in regards to the lack of knowledge about this course. One big thing is to make sure you have a Western student email account active. This is obviously being an online course. This is one of the best ways that I can communicate with you if I need to do that, and vice versa. It's also important that you're checking the announcements weekly. Every unit, if you will, I'll post a welcome video, if you will, for that particular unit, what's expected, when is it due, and things like that. So it is important that you're logging on. That's the problem with online. For some people, they don't have that accountability. Being face-to-face, you would show up to a classroom and see the instructor. Here it's kind of on your own to be logging in and working through the material. Retake and makeup policies, so there are no retakes on anything here, and any homework such as assignments or quizzes will not be accepted beyond the due date. Each student will be able to use one makeup lecture exam and one lab exam makeup as well. So if, let's say, you for some reason missed a unit, you would be able to go back and just take the lecture exam. You would be able to go back and just take the lab exam. You would not be able to go back and take your homework, your assignments, and your quizzes. So there needs to be some kind of consequence to that. But there are no retakes on anything. So whatever you end up with, you do not have the opportunity to go back and retake that particular exam, assignment, or quiz. Obviously, we're not face-to-face, so attendance is really on you as far as logging in. Obviously, I can see when you log in, how often you're logging in, and things like that, so I do have a record of that. And again, this is probably one of the more challenging parts for some people because they're not checking in as often as they probably should if they were in a face-to-face course, and a week or 2 weeks go by in a very quick amount of time. So just be aware of that. Course repeat policy, students who do not successfully complete a C or better will not be eligible to re-enroll necessarily into this course. If you've done it a third time, you would need to have an appeal with the Dean of Health and Public Safety. Student responsibilities: attend, be on time. That means logging in, checking in often with the course. Contact me whenever you're having difficulties, making sure you're taking all your assessments on time so you're not missing those points and the information that's needed. Abide by the Western student policies, which we're going to look at a little bit of those in just a moment. And then again, I can't stress this enough, but making sure you have an active Western email account. Assessment policy: obviously there's no use of electronic devices while you're taking these. All lecture and lab exams are timed, and so that you need to make sure that you're prepared. So just opening up an exam, once you open it, a timer will start, and you do need to finish it within that setting. So make sure that you're studying it, you're watching the videos that I'm providing, and you're prepared for these exams, because the timer will eventually catch up to you if you're trying to look up answers. Okay. Student code of conduct: any disruption could result in a dismissal, and obviously we're not face-to-face, but if any rude emails are coming across, certainly have the option for that. I haven't had that happen, but you never know. Academic integrity policy: so obviously dishonesty with academics, cheating, looking up answers using the internet, those are cheating. Copying, having somebody else do it, plagiarism, unauthorized collaboration, which is sharing information or aiding with another person, fabrication, multiple submissions, academic misconduct. None of this will be tolerated, and we just make sure that academic integrity procedure is done in a fair and timely manner. And what we do is we look at any problems we start with at a course level, and if that needs to go further up, then we start looking at the college level process, which is a little bit more of a bigger issue, and that goes to the Dean of Students. Western student withdrawal policy: I do not withdraw you from the course, so if you decide that you no longer want to continue with the course, it is up to you to withdraw from the course itself. I will not do that for you, and so just want to be aware of that. Although the college may have the option of dropping you, as you can see right here, right there, for attendance-related issues. Although I have never seen them do that before, but it certainly is not out of their scope of practice if they decide to do that. Western Americans with Disabilities Act statement: so if you have a disability that you need extra time on something, you do need to contact the Disability Services, which their phone number is there. They can help you get set up with that. And finally, Western's tobacco-free policy: being that we're not on campus here, this doesn't really apply to you, but just so you know, we do have a tobacco-free campus. All right, let's go over to your Blackboard site. So this is where you obviously access the video, which is not up there quite yet because I'm making it right now. We do have some frequently asked questions. Please review these. These are really important. I will be touching on them here in just a moment, but just to go back. And once you get your Mastery A&P access card, this is a little video on how you can actually access the Pearson stuff with that if you don't go through the Pearson website. If you want to do it on Blackboard, this is the way to do it. Announcements: for every unit I will put out a weekly announcement. So if you go into the Syllabus and Schedule tab here, you will see our schedule. And so how I do it is by unit. So there are 9 total units. Here are the dates that each unit is open for, and you have both a lecture component and you have a lab component. So most of the units are 2 weeks long, and so you have from January 7th to January 20th to complete that work. Everything is always due at midnight on the very last day. In this case, it would be January 20th for both the lecture and the lab. For the most part, the lecture and the lab coincide with one another as far as the same or similar topics, but that's not always the case. So as an example, here in lecture we talk a little bit about chemistry, but in lab we don't talk about chemistry at all. But for the most part, you see that there are some they're coinciding as you kind of go down here. Not every unit is 2 weeks long, so I just want to make sure you see that this one down here is only 1 week long, and this one down here is only 1 week long, so just be aware of that as you're going through. So this is your schedule. This is how it's going to kind of be managed. Again, if we go into the assignment tab, you'll see the syllabus quiz here, and this is our very first unit, Unit 1. Now you're not going to see all these other units. I only bring those up when we get closer to being, when Unit 1 is actually done. So you can see I have to change these dates here. These dates are not correct here, so we'll get those changed by the time you're on here. But if you go into Unit 1, here's the lecture component, here's the lab component. So it's very important to understand that they are separate. Whatever you're learning in lecture, you're going to be quizzed on in lecture. You're going to and there's going to be assignments in here, and lab is separate. So if we go into just the lecture part here, what you're going to notice here, it's in a chronological order of things, that sequential order that I want you to kind of go by. These are the objectives. So these are the things that I'm going to be teaching you in this unit in lecture. There is a PowerPoint right here, and then there's a video that's linked to that PowerPoint of me reviewing it. In this one, you have a couple of assignments here that I created on my own, and then you have your Mastering A&P assignment. Once you log in and you get that going, you can actually tap in this. It brings you to that assignment. And then you have your first lecture exam here, and it tells you that you're timed. You get 1 minute per question, so you better be prepared. You better have studied really well, because it will make it more difficult for you to complete the exam if you're trying to look up answers, and your grade will reflect that, and I can see that. If we go back, that was lecture, so this is lab. Lab, you have every lab unit has this lab packet, and this is what I want you to be using while you're watching the video. These are the terms right here in print that you are to be using for the lab quiz, the lab exams. If you are not using those and you're looking up answers, I will see that and you will get it marked wrong if you're using alternative names for what we have here. So if you pull this up and you watch my video, you can literally watch the video and go down and put in the definitions as you're going along. So here's the video on the lab video, if you will. I do also have some lab model pictures, so you'll see some, if you go in there you'll see, but if you, while you're watching the video, you'll see me kind of grab some models and show them to the students in the classroom. This is where you can access some of those pictures of those lab models. You have your Mastering A&P assignment, and I always give you a little 5-point timed 5-minute lab quiz just to kind of get your feet wet with the lab quiz before you get to the actual lab exam, which is 25 questions at 25 minutes, and again, this is timed as well. So once we get to January 20th, again I have to update these, but once we get to January 20th at midnight, this disappears, and January 21st at 12:01 a.m. Unit 2 will appear, and then you can begin to work on that when you're ready. Contact information. Here's my contact information here. Computer Services, Learning Commons, or the Tutoring Center. We do have tutoring. I will post their schedule as they get that going. Library services, welcome centers such as financial aid and things like that. Well, I did want to go back and talk to you about something really quickly in the assignments and stuff like that. Anything that needs to be, anything that you have to type in for the lab exams, they are fill in the blank, so I just want you to be aware of that. They are not multiple choice. The lecture exams are multiple choice, but not the lab exams. So anything that you have to fill in by typing, I have to go in and manually grade it, because Blackboard has an answer for it, but let's say you're off by one letter. Blackboard will mark you wrong, and of course I'm not going to mark you wrong if you're off by one letter. So I have to go in and grade every single lab quiz, every single lab exam, some of your lecture assignments that are fill in the blank. I have to go in and grade those. So just be patient with that. I do grade once in the morning, once in the afternoon, or in the evening. And so I try to do it twice a day so we keep you up to speed and you get some rather fast results and feedback on that. So just be aware of that. Syllabus and schedule, this is where you found your syllabus here. This is our lecture schedule. Course objectives, you get these in every single one of the units, but here's like the master sheet of it, if you will. Discussion boards, feel free to introduce yourself to me and to your other students in the class, and then if you have any questions you can add it here. I am not a believer of having ongoing discussion boards, so you will not see any questions come up on this discussion board, but if you want to ask questions you certainly can do that there. Supplemental materials, here we have lab model pictures from the videos. This is kind of like a master sheet of it, lab diagrams that you can use for labeling, additional lab microscopic images when we start looking at that, along with additional websites as well. Okay, and if we go back to the announcement, if you go back down here to some frequently asked questions from people, this is what I get the most, so please read this and here are the answers to those. So a couple questions. My Pearson assignment grade is lower in the Blackboard grade than on the Pearson Gradebook. Why? Well, Pearson and Blackboard are not linked together. They are working on two separate servers. So when you do your Pearson assignment outside on the Pearson server, it's going to take a little time for that grade to be transferred over into Blackboard. Usually, I say a few hours. So just be aware when you do finish a Pearson assignment, you'll see probably a high score, and then when you look in your Blackboard gradebook, it'll be a lower score. Don't worry, that will be transferred over. Just take some time. Can I see my test answers? You can see your quizzes once you complete them, but the tests will not be able to be reviewed for test security issues. If you want to review your exams, you need to set up an appointment with me to review it. My lab quiz and lab exam scores look horrible. What is going on? Again, I need to grade all the questions that are fill in the blanks, so once you get it done, you'll probably see a lower score. Once I go in there and correct it, I'm sure that your score will go up because, again, spelling, or if you have a different term in there that I don't have in there, again, you do want to be using the terms that I have in the lab packet. If not, you will get it wrong. Is there a final in the class? No. You are welcome. There is not a final exam in this course. It's just by units. Should I be downloading the lab packet? Yes. All the terms in the lab packet you can review on the lab videos, and these are, again, the terms that I want you to know. Is there professional help if I need it? Yes. We do have on campus a professional tutor and peer tutors, and I will be posting those times of availability as well. So there you have it. What I'd like you to do now that you've watched this, go in here, take this syllabus quiz. It's 7 points. It is not timed. And then that's just kind of reviewing some things that we reviewed on here. And then feel free to go ahead and begin your Unit 1 lecture material and lab material. I will say I would prefer that you start with lab first. Lab tends to be a little easier for most people, and it gives you a little bit better anatomy review before you start the lecture material. So that would be my words of advice. Start with the lab and then move to the lecture. If this is a 2-week unit, I would do the lab the very first week and work on that all week, and then the second week work on the lecture material. That helps split it up a little bit for you and makes it a little bit more manageable instead of trying to do it all on the last day. If you're trying to do all this on the last day, unfortunately I just have to say good luck. It's not going to happen. You're going to get a poor score, so just be aware of that. So if you have any questions, feel free to email me. Otherwise, I look forward to working with you and answering any questions you have. Have a wonderful day. Take care, everybody.